Hello, hello, and welcome to another podcast episode of Overpowering Emotions, where I talk all things big emotions, emotion regulation. Today, I want to talk actually about emotional manipulation. I hear parents and teachers talk about this a lot, feeling manipulated by their kids. And so I thought that this was an important topic. Now, we're wired to respond to emotional expressions. Our brains are built for connection and survival, and emotions play a huge role in that. Sadness triggers compassion, for example. We want to comfort, we want to help when we see, a child who's sad, for example. This is usually a trap that we fall into that can cripple anxiety and resilience. Anger, that can really spark defensiveness or even fear in us, right? We might comply to avoid conflict, for example, if someone is really angry at us, or we're getting defensive and we're now getting angry. Joy really invites connection. It invites trust. We're drawn to happy people. So these responses that we're experiencing based on other people's emotions, they happen automatically. We're not stopping to think, right? This child looks sad. How should I respond? Should I feel bad for this child? Should I roll my eyes? No, like our brain is just reacting. We're already having an emotional response, which is why emotional contagion can be so dangerous, right? When we're just getting swirled away with all these other emotions. But kids learn this very early on, right? That their emotions can trigger certain reactions from other people. They figure out that their expressions, their emotions, it really shapes how adults respond. And so they start using those cues. Sometimes they are expressing genuine feelings. Most of the time, the first time they drop down in a temper tantrum or, with anger, it is a respondent response, meaning it's just automatic based on the situation. But other times they are able to gain control. And if we often shape behaviors, right? So an example is if you've got a young kiddo, let's say a toddler who's throwing this dramatic tantrum in the grocery store, right? They want that candy bar. And now they're kicking, they're screaming, they might even be banging their head. The first time, it's that respondent overwhelm. They have no capacity to manage their emotions. They're just so overwhelmed with emotions. But if the parent, maybe they're embarrassed by the scene, they just want the child to be quiet, they give in. So now we're shaping the behavior because we're teaching that child if I cry really loud in public and throw a temper tantrum, I'm going to get what I want. So it can become this operant behavior, this learned behavior over time. Right. And it's really, we are shaping these behaviors. Next time, one time it just might be the kids crying, we give in. Next time they start crying again, but we don't give in. We're like, no, we're going to let them cry it out. But now they start, dropping to the floor and hitting their head. Okay, 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 we'll get the candy bar. So guess what? Next time they're just going to start hitting their head right away. That's how we start shaping behaviors worse and worse and worse because they're learning that that's how I get what I want, even though it did start from a genuine place. And sometimes it is still from a genuine place. Maybe it's not they're not thinking that, but we do start seeing this, right? This learned behavior. In a school-aged kid, maybe they're pouting and sighing dramatically, right? We've asked them to do homework and now it's just sigh and pout. And so maybe even, I'm tired. It's been such a long day. And so then the parent says, okay, you know what? Let's just take a break. I don't want to fight. So now the child's learning, whoa, looking miserable, sighing, complaining I'm tired, that gets me out of work. It probably came from a genuine place, but they start learning that based on our reactions. A teenager, maybe they're just shutting down completely when we're asking them to help with chores, right? So parents feel bad because now they're maybe withdrawing and we're worried that they're getting depressed and, all these other things. So we feel bad and we pick up the slack. But now that teen's learning, if I act withdrawn and just completely, depressed, I don't have to do the things that I don't want to do. Now, it doesn't mean that they're being manipulative. It doesn't mean they're being bad. I know it feels that way, and that's why I wanted to talk about this because parents will often come to me or adults will often come saying they're being manipulative. What it does mean is that they're smart. That's what it does mean. They're experimenting with social influence, right? The brain is all about reinforcement. It's all about associations and it's all about reinforcement. So anything that makes the brain feel good, it's going to do it again. And we are reinforcing the brain if that kiddo is feeling relief, relief from getting the candy. Yes, I get my candy. There's that spark of dopamine. Yes, I get it. Maybe it's relief getting out of chores or getting out of their homework. And so now that's reinforcing the brain. They're more likely to do that behavior again. Now, again, it feels like manipulation, but it's our responses that's creating more or less of those behaviors that we see. It's our responses. It's not our kids being manipulative. They're just doing what their brains are meant to do, right? Kids get really good at finding, those heartstrings. You don't love me. You love sibling more. Nobody in the world loves me. What's the point of living? They get really good at saying these things and we get sucked in, especially, if they're told that they can't have their screens, we've taken their screens away, or maybe they're using those tears to avoid consequences or responsibilities. But it's only because we have taught them that they can do that, right? It's our responses. We have taught that. Our job is to help them to develop emotional awareness, to develop emotional regulation so that they're not using emotions to control others, right? So that they're not, being manipulative. They're not. They're just being smart and they know. Why not do it if you can use it to your advantage? So, what we need to do is we got to make sure that they're expressing those emotions in a healthy, authentic way. So, in these situations, we really want to call out the emotion. Don't call out manipulation. That's how you're feeling, right? So, instead of saying stop faking it or stop being manipulative, we still want to validate and acknowledge that upset. Even if we think it's just big crocodile tears and they're putting on a show, right? We want to validate and acknowledge, wow, you're really upset about this. What's up? Right? Or if you've heard me talk before, I talk about adjective, bummer. This is really hard. Bummer is the adjective. This sucks. Sucks is the adjective. So we're connecting and validating, right? That way they're feeling heard, right? We're not increasing, escalating any fights, but we're also not reinforcing the behavior. We're not saying, okay, that's okay. Don't worry about it tonight. We're just validating how they're feeling. But then we have to make sure we are keeping consistent boundaries. So if there's an established boundary that they do homework every day for 20 minutes after school, after their snack, we are maintaining that consistent boundary. That's really important. We can validate, wow, you had a rough day today. That sucks. So, how am I going to help you with homework? What can I do to support you? I can get you some tea, right? So, if a child's tears got them extra TV time yesterday, but not today, they're going to test again, right? They're going to see if they can recreate those tears again today. So, we just need to make sure we're being consistent because consistency really teaches kids that our emotions are respected, they're validated, they're acknowledged, but they're not overriding rules. Same thing, any behavior plan I put on, or we're talking about sleep plans, for example, when kids aren't going to sleep, we are following the plan. Any changes that we're making to the plan come based on the plan. So if we said we are going to do this until Friday, Friday is when we can change the plan, not when you are kicking and screaming and crying, right? It's when I said we're going to change the plan. I will have parents come and check in on kids, right? I'm going to check in on you when the timer goes off. So we might set the timer for 10 seconds. We might set it for 10 minutes. I'm going to come in to check on you at bedtime when the timer comes off, not when you're crying, not when you come out of your room, not when all of these other things happen, when the timer comes off. So we're establishing that expectation and we're following through with it consistently. Now we're helping kids express what they want clearly instead of using emotions to get their way too. I taught my girls from a very young age, the minute they started talking, that I don't understand whine or sass or yelling, right? And so if they were yelling at me or whining, actually they were expert whiners. That was the big one, right? I would validate their upset or their frustration, right? And they actually got really good to be, I'm frustrated at 18 months, right? I'm frustrated. That would be their thing. But if they were whining, sorry, I don't understand. Let me know when you're ready to talk. I front loaded it. I taught them so that they knew what I could and could understand and could not understand. So when you're calm and you've got this level tone, right? Mom, I'm ready to talk. Now I know your prefrontal cortex is online and we can talk, right? In the heat of the moment, if they're really upset and really whining or screaming, I'm genuinely apologizing. I'm not saying, "Oh, I don't understand that." No, I'm genuinely apologizing. I would act the exact same way as if someone who spoke a different language came up to me to ask directions, right? I'd be like, "I don't, that's on you. I don't understand how to speak German, right? Or whatever it is." So, no, I would be, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. No parlez anglais or je parle anglais, whatever, right? Like I only speak English. I'm so sorry." So that's kind of the same sort of approach. "Oh, kiddo, I'm so sorry. I don't understand wine." And yes, they might go, "You do understand me. Ah, mama, you're a terrible mommy. You don't love me." "Oh, I don't understand. Let me know when you're ready." Right? That was me setting a boundary. I already told them I don't understand yelling and sass and whine and all of these things. Right? So, yes, the whine, the sass, it will increase. As soon as we change our behaviors, we're going to get more of those behaviors. It's this extinction burst. But they do go down when we consistently hold that boundary and expectation. It will decrease. So I'm also holding that boundary by saying, "Sorry, I don't understand." Right. And now I'm going to repeat, "I don't understand. I don't understand." I get into that broken record. But I also repeat the model of how I know they're ready. "I'm ready. Mom, I'm ready." They don't even have to say "Mom," just "I'm ready," over and over again, right? So when they say, "Mom, I'm ready," it's not about the words, it's about that calm, level tone. "Mom, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready." I would just repeat it over and over until that futility settles in. We need futility to settle in, right? That's where kids are like, ah, "I'm ready," right? Then they come around, even if they're frustrated right up until that second. "Fine, I'm ready." Okay. So we that's kind of how we do this, and so we're setting that boundary and that expectation. Now you can use previous experiences. You could use movies, right? So maybe you're talking about who managed what feelings, who were asking for help, right? Who were able to get their prefrontal cortex back online, who needed to do something differently, right? Whose emotional brain was still taking over, and what could have they done differently? So you could use those things. But if you see a consistent pattern, like at bedtime, you can say, "Okay, moving forward, this is how I'm going to respond." Anytime Yelly McYellerson comes out, or frustrated Fred, or whatever. So we're making sure we're establishing that, but we're also modeling our expression of feelings too, and what we need and want. So instead of snapping in frustration at kids, "I'm feeling very overwhelmed right now. I need a break. I'm going to go take a few minutes, go for a walk around the block by myself." Right? So we are also modeling that. We're not blaming them. We're not going to escalate the fight. So these are really important. So we got to remember, emotions need to be expressed. This is emotional expression. They need to be expressed, not screamed, not hit or pinched or blamed, right? They need to be expressed. And by setting those boundaries and that consistency and using our validation, that's helping kids develop those emotional skills to be able to express themselves effectively. So, for homework, there's lots of work here to do. Pay attention to how kids are responding, when emotions come up. How are they expressing their emotions? Okay, so whatever your role is when you're working with kids, how are they expressing? Is it yelly? Is it whiny? Is it tears? Now ask yourself, am I reinforcing any emotional manipulation without even realizing it? Am I teaching them that those tears lead to avoidance? Am I teaching them that if they yell at me, they get out of the chore because now they get to go to their room and hang out and do whatever they're doing up there? So try naming and validating those emotions, right? I can see, "Oh, chores suck, don't they?" Right? So we can validate, but we're not letting them out of it. We're still keeping those firm boundaries. The goal also is not to eliminate emotions, right? We need to feel anger. We need to feel sadness. We need to feel grief. We need to feel fear. We need to feel all of those. It's not about eliminating it. It's a futile battle if you try that. It's to help kids express themselves in ways that build healthy relationships, that get their needs met in a healthy way, in a helpful way. Okay, so I'll leave it there for today. I will have more ideas and specific things in the show notes for homework, so definitely check that out. Thank you for listening. Help those kiddos be bold and courageous. If you found this episode helpful, definitely share it with others and rate me on Apple Podcasts. That helps me get out there and share the message a little bit more. Have a great day, and I will see you next week.